So much.
Yes, it
Larry.
is.
You're right. Breaking up might be hard to do, as Liz said as we went to the break, but it could be good for your portfolio. 15 spin-offs have hit the market in 2013, a 50% increase year over year. So how can you make some money from these breakups, and when is the right time to invest?
Joining me now, Joe Cornell, principal founder of Spin-Off Advisors, with his ways to play spin-offs. First, the broader picture, Joe. Could you argue that spin-offs are happening because shareholders are agitating for companies to unlock shareholder value, and they do this by spinning off portions of their companies into separate entities?
Yes, that's been more prevalent in the last couple of years, where activist investors such as Ackerman or other people like Jana Partners have bought stock in parent companies and then leaned on management to spin off parts of the business.
So, look, Joe, what's wrong with conglomerates? Let's go the other direction here. What's wrong with conglomerates? The one thing that they can do is they can spread their risk over a wider area. They may not be as nimble to react to certain situations, but what's wrong with conglomerates?
Well, as a model, it's really been out of favor with investors for some time. It was popular in the 70s and perhaps the 80s, but typically professional managers would prefer to make specific bets on specific industries and businesses. And conglomerates generally trade at lower multiples than specific businesses. We often see it's very difficult to run many diversified businesses well and allocate capital properly. So it's much easier to do if you're focused on one business.
Some of these spin-offs have done unbelievably well, others not so much. Why don't you pick the one in the last year that you feel has been a hit out of the ballpark, just so we can give people an idea, and then you'll get to your picks.
Sure. Well, overall, just to give you a sense, buying them all has been a pretty decent strategy. There's a spin-off index. Through the first 5 months of this year, the spin-off index was up 24% versus 15% for the market, and going back 12 months was up over 60% versus 27% for the S&P 500. So generally, they provided excess return relative to the market. Specifically, an example might be when Liberty spun out Stars recently. I think Stars is up over 70% since the spin. So if you would have bought Liberty and kept your Stars stock, you've done very well.
Joe, as with everything in life, timing is always so critical. So how can you time that to invest at the right time on these spin-offs? How do you figure that out?
Each case is a little different. It depends on the relative size of the parent to the spinoff. When I first started doing this 15 years ago, a good strategy was just wait for the spin, and they're often orphaned by the market because basically they're giving stock to people who may not want it, or they can't own. I'm a big cap guy, inherit the small cap stock. I indiscriminately kick it out of the portfolio, or the parents in the S&P 500. The spin's not. So there's forced selling. Creates a lot of natural sellers, not a lot of natural buyers. And historically, they would underperform the market for a couple months, and then you'd see a lot of overperformance, maybe from 3 months out to 2 years out, as those businesses are run better.
Let's get to some names that you like right now. First off, Blackhawk. Blackhawk was spun off. This is a gift card provider. Not the most warm and fuzzy name for a gift card provider.
Not really, no.
Blackhawk. But that said, why do you like the opportunities here, potentially, for this company?
Yeah, this was a business was started within Safeway, the grocery chain, about 10 years ago, and it's blossomed under their management. And basically, they have about 35% of the gift card market. They have about 300 brands on their network, and they are sold through 100,000 retailers throughout the world. It's that business is growing. More and more consumers are using gift cards. And they get the economics works. They get about 3% of every Blackhawk gets about 3% of every dollar loaded on one of the gift cards.
So Joe, we'll go from Blackhawk to White Wave, which sounds a little less intimidating. It was recently spun off from Dean Foods. You think it's a good buyout candidate? Why?
Yeah, well, that's overall, many spin-offs get refolded into bigger companies that are in similar industries. I probably guess 4 or 5 times more likely for a spin-off to be bought out than, say, an average company in the S&P 500. we think might be a good fit within Kraft. They've got great brands. They're best known for their Silk line of organic milk, and it's a healthy way to people are eating healthier these days, so that might fit in well with a bigger food company.
One last really quick comment, because we've run out of time, but you mentioned that JANA Partners is one of these companies that goes in and agitates for companies to spin off. They're taking a big position in DirecTV. Do you foresee that they will agitate the DirecTV spin off the Latin American part of its business?
We've heard that rumored within certain circles. We haven't done any heavy lifting on that. We tend to wait for the actual announcements of the spins, but I can see where they might pursue that sort of strategy.
Interesting. Joe Cornell, principal founder, Spin-Off Advisors. Joe, thanks so much for joining us.
You bet. Thanks.
Cell phone